Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. Part 2 of Volusia Happenings. Eric Zimmerman, Adams Cameron and Company Realtors, Team Zimmerman. I am here with Lynda Labosco from Labosco Jewelry Castle here in Port Orange, and we were talking with her last time about investing in real estate and how we established maybe what to look for when you're purchasing a property. This time we wanted to cover a little bit of do's and don'ts, maybe some tips and tricks, if you will, or things you wouldn't mind sharing.
Sure.
That you've learned over the years of doing this. Is there things you might want to share with us that you might recommend to our viewers?
The do's and don'ts. One of the things I've noticed as far as these apartments that are all in our area, they're charging enormous prices.
Yes.
But so I asked myself, why? Why are people so willing to pay these high prices? And I think what it is such a busy lifestyle right now where people hold down jobs or possibly even 2 jobs. They don't have time to maintain a home. So one of the things that I've changed in a lot of my rentals is I'm now starting to maintain the yard or the pool or something like that. Yes, they might pay a little extra in their rent, but a lot of people just want to come home, pull in the garage, and not have to worry about anything outside. And I think that's why they're going for these apartments. So that's one of the do's that I've just started. And then plus that, a lot of people, will drive through a neighborhood, say, and if the landscaping's not so good, they go, yeah, that's a rental. Because your tenants don't really want to invest the money in buying shrubs or mulch or fertilizing or whatnot. But if you go ahead and do it as a homeowner, as their landlord, it maintains your property value. Your neighbors like you a heck of a lot more. And then plus that it gives the tenant a sense of pride when they pull up. So again, you always want to cultivate that I'm home kind of feeling with your tenant.
They're there longer.
And they're there longer. Exactly. So you might spend a little bit more money, but it's an investment in keeping your tenants happy and making it their home. Okay.
And what about preparing a home for rent? Or is there any ideas or things you could share with us as far as getting it rent ready that you do?
Yeah. A lot of first of all, I always check my air conditionings and whatnot, and it's a good idea to have a maintenance man come in every once in a while just to check the filtering systems and whatnot, because that'll definitely ruin your air conditioning systems. But when I buy a house, it's a little bit more expensive in the beginning, but what I've been doing lately is I've been tiling the entire house with a neutral color, and this way, if someone has a pet, they might move in and say they don't have a pet, but they really do, and you do run across that. They can't ruin your carpet. If every time you lose a tenant and the carpet's ruined, that's an expense. But if you have everything tiled, you get a professional company coming in, they sanitize, they steam everything, and then tile lasts forever. It really does.
Again, so carpet obviously is a more affordable choice.
In the beginning, it's much more affordable, but in the long run, especially if you happen to have a major turnover in the house for whatever reason, and people only stay a year or 2, kind of have to redo that carpet to maintain the quality of people that you want to live in your homes.
Exactly. Yeah, and I can see that too. What about I've had people with opinions both ways as far as purchasing one that's turnkey, basically ready to go. Perhaps already seen updates or I've seen people that target ones that are in need of rehab. Do you have an opinion as far as one way or another on that?
I've done both. I have to admit, when you remodel, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but it's expensive. It always costs more than you think it's going to cost. That's for sure. It always costs more. If you're really, really handy and you want to do a lot of the work yourself, by all means, go ahead and do it. But I cannot do that. I don't know how to swing a hammer. I have found when I have remodeled, once you factor in downtime, because it takes several months to go ahead and get it done, and the expense and the expenses that you don't realize when you're just eyeballing something. In the long run, I kind of found it was kind of even, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
Unless you're handy, and a lot of people are.
Sure.
So that would be a great way to get into a property at a really good price.
So again, it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to buy a fixer-upper that's in horrible condition to actually get into the
No.
into the rental
No.
game, if you will. You can buy something that's turnkey, and maybe that's for a novice or somebody starting out. Perhaps that might be a good stepping stone to start with, something that you got a product, you can
Right.
get it rented quickly. You don't have the downtime.
It's not so overwhelming.
Sure.
And so for a beginner or someone who's just starting investing, I think you might be better off just going with something that's turnkey, get it going, get it rolling, not overwhelm yourself.
Okay, I think that's great. Let's see, what else can we share with folks as far as maybe do's or don'ts? What about tenant screening? Is there a process that you have as far as finding the right tenant or ways to avoid the wrong tenant?
I kind of do it the old-fashioned way, old school. I really like to sit down with the people and talk to them, just get a feel for them. Of course, they fill out an application. I don't charge for my applications,
Okay.
and apartments do. I don't, and I check their references and whatnot. But the problem is you really don't know who you're talking to on the other end of the phone. If they're renting from somebody else, one of the things that I've done is they'll tell me, well, I'm living in this house, I've outgrown this house, or my landlord is selling this house. And then I'll say, well, I still need your landlord's name and phone number for a reference. But what I'll do is I'll go on Volusia County website on the tax roll and see who really owns that house. Because they could be giving you their brother-in-law's phone number, and
Gotcha.
name. A lot of times what I'll do is, after talking to them and whatnot, I will do a drive-by of where they live. If they live local, I'll do a drive-by.
I think that's a great tip.
I take a look at how the outside is maintained. I even take a look at the window treatment. That kind of tells you how the inside is.
Right. If they got a
If the
blanket and a sheet hanging on the window,
yes.
maybe not the best.
Maybe not who you want in your home. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because you want someone to stay. You want someone not to live there. You want it to be their home. There's a difference.
Absolutely. And I think that's important too. I think a lot of people I see make mistakes as far as landlords go is once they acquire the property, they don't think about maintaining it and keeping it up in tip-top condition. And I know that's one of your pet peeves and something that you're really good about as far as keeping exterior maintenance good, doing your walkthroughs on the properties, keeping things up, fixing things as they need to be. Things will break, obviously,
They do.
and staying on top of those and correcting so they don't roll into larger problems as you move forward.
I found and this is just life in general, if you treat people the way you want to be treated, things just work out a heck of a lot better. So I put myself in their position if I was a tenant. So when my tenants call me and tell me the air conditioner is not working, to me that's a big deal. Because if I was in that house, that would be a big deal. So I try to get on it right away. One of the things I do avoid, though, is when I rent, I don't like to have a bunch of roommates. Because you might have 3 people sharing a 3-bedroom house and they're going to all pull their money together. To be perfectly honest with you, that doesn't work.
That never really works out well,
It
does
doesn't, because it might be 2 great people and that one person, and what will happen is the 2 people will come in and give their share, and then you still and it's just a logistic nightmare.
Yeah.
It just really is.
Or one ends up meeting their next boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're off,
And they're off.
and then leaves the other ones hanging. And
then you don't know
go.
who's in the house.
Yeah, it turns into a fiasco, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that is one thing I do avoid.
Okay, and it sounds like the properties that you're more or less targeting families, I guess you
Yeah.
would say, with your
Exactly.
properties versus singles or starting out.
I mean, I have nothing against
singles.
singles. I
Sure.
do have a lot of singles in some of my houses and excuse me, some of my apartments and whatnot. But I generally target 3-bedroom homes for families.
Families.
Yeah.
They put down roots and stay a little bit longer.
Exactly.
Generally.
I've got families in houses over 10 years.
Wow.
So, and the rent's reasonable. I haven't raised it crazy at all. And I ride by and there's beautiful flowers and I go in and they treat it as if I would treat my own home, and they're respecting my property and my property is going up in value. It's a win-win. They have a nice home, they have a reasonable rent, their families could flourish, my property's in good shape, I could count on the rent.
That's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
One last question, I guess, and then we'll kind of break out. I've had people mention to me, well, do I have to buy cash in order to make something work? In order to get into income properties, does it have to be a cash purchase, or Can you finance it and make it work?
You don't want to pay cash, to be perfectly honest with you. You want to make your cash work for you as best as possible. So if you had enough money to buy cash a house, you'd much better off buying 3 houses.
Right.
You know,
Put that money to work.
put that money to work. Exactly. For the most part, I believe once you get involved in investing, your bank is going to require you to have a little bit more down. You know, but no, I would definitely go for it. Get a good relationship with your banker. There's lots of banks in this area that they will work with you. Keep your credit score up. Maintain your records. Get your income tax done in a timely way. So you just never know if that next deal's coming along. Right. You need to go into the bank with your income tax statement and go get another mortgage.
You got to be ready to go when the
You got to be ready to go.
Right. Great. And that's one thing Rebecca and I are great at, is fun in the deals. And I want to thank Lynda for sharing some time with us this morning and some of her knowledge. If you have any further questions, message us below and we can either answer them. I know Lynda would probably love to have you stop in the store and see them. They're right there on Ridgewood, just south of Dunlawton in the Labosco Jewelry Castle. I'm sure many of you out there have drove by. Stop in and take it. Store's beautiful, all sorts of jewelry. It's much more than what you probably would think just driving past. If you haven't been in the store, check it out. And this is Eric Zimmerman signing off with another episode, and we'll see you next time.